mutated version. So it's not in itself the vaccine that is causing it, but the fact that there's low immunization coverage, or people are not immunized, and that's
why the simple solution to this is get vaccinated.
Exactly.
So the fact that we have quite a few of these vaccine polios shows that many people are not vaccinated yet.
Exactly.
And we are back to the same problem. See, we've been free for 2 years now. We got to this point in 2016 before we had another case. What do we do now to maintain this? Let's keep this until the third year, 2019, when they will finally say, okay, Nigeria is no longer the pain. You know, there was this pain when India was amongst us. Yes. It was pain. Now it's pan. So when Nigeria is gone, it maybe will be pan. But they are saying that they will soon eradicate in their own countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. What do we do?
It's not to relent on our efforts. Intensify efforts, strengthen routine immunization programs. Of course, the national immunization days are mopping up, and then more importantly, the acute flaccid paralysis surveillance that is ongoing. But in places where you still have polio, there are common things that have emerged, which border on, things like insecurity, poverty, and all those things, beyond just, vaccine issues. So I think innovative strategies have to, come into play to address things like border security, border synchronization, and stuff like that to ensure that we really...
But it's the understanding that the borders, those who border Nigeria, are really, really on their toes now, and that there's a lot of cross-border surveillance going on right now, because, I mean, look at it. It's wonderful that even though there's some in Nigeria, all the countries around Nigeria are free.
Are free, actually.
But Pakistan and Afghanistan are neighbors.
Yes. And they have, most of their problem is at the borders.
Okay. All right. So we do not relent on our efforts. But there's this thing called environmental surveillance that I heard about, where at least in some countries, they go to the sewage system and actually bring up some of the sewage and check it for the polio virus. Now, my first question is, what's the use of that? Why are they checking? What does it do?
Okay. I'll say first that AFP surveillance, the acute flaccid paralysis surveillance, is the gold standard for the polio eradication initiative.
That's when you check people, not the sewage.
Yes, stool samples from individuals. But what that one does is that it links the poliovirus isolate to a specific individual and allows focused investigation on that individual and the immediate community.
You see, that's targeted.
Yes, that's targeted. However, the environmental surveillance links isolate composite fecal matter from environmental surveillance to, or from, the environment to populations served by a wastewater system.
Okay, so my question now is, do we have that kind of wastewater system service in Nigeria that will make such environmental surveillance meaningful?
Well, you'll be shocked to hear that we actually conduct environmental surveillance
in
Nigeria, yes. The Ibadan laboratory, the WHO lab in Ibadan, we have 2 in Nigeria, 1 in Maiduguri, 1 in Ibadan. Since its inception in 2011, has been conducting environmental surveillance. And they said this year alone, they've carried out like 1,700, what's it called? They've carried out, tests on about 1,700 samples from environmental
okay,
surveillance.
So the idea now would be that we've checked the sewage system, we found the polio virus inside. Let's find out whose wastes come into this system and then cover those areas. Is that the idea?
Yes, it also, another reason why we do the surveillance, it also guides immunization.
Okay.
So it helps us know whether there's any circulating polio virus in the environment. And so it can help to, inform some supplementary immunization in that area.
Okay. So since we say that any case of polio anywhere is a danger to everybody, everywhere. Let's know a bit about what's going on with our polio mates, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, this year there have been about 18 cases.
18?
Yes.
New cases?
Yes, wild polio virus in both Pakistan and Afghanistan. You know.
So we're doing better?
Oh, sure, we're doing better. 18 cases of wild polio virus. At least we have no cases of wild polio virus. We've not had any in the past 2 years. And basically issues such as, you know, corruption, political instability, you know, inaccessibility to those areas, you know, around the borders are things that are fostering...
And insecurity.
Yeah, and insecurity.
Whether, you
yes.
know, people being killed and all that stuff.
Yeah. And then sometimes too, hostility encountered by vaccinators in some... recently I heard I think in Pakistan, a police officer that was, you know, supporting, guarding health workers who were going to vaccinate on the very first day of their vaccination campaign was shot dead. So you have this kind of issues.
You know, in the days when there were wars, serious wars, they had ceasefire days. You know, I'm just thinking, you know, is it possible for us to make use of some safe days to get people vaccinated?
Safe days, well, I don't know how it works in those areas, but with what's going on in the Northeast, nobody knows when they strike.
Yeah, that is really tricky.
You can't...
That is really tricky. But the bad part is that the polio isn't waiting for anybody.
No, it's not.
And it could just cross over into another state, cross over into another country, and we could be starting all over again. That is too difficult to contemplate, just too hard. Well, the World Health Organization says, and I'll read it, that economic modeling has found that eradication of polio would save at least 40 to 50 billion US dollars, mostly in low-income countries. Can you help us understand how that happens?